What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and my review of Arcade1up's new Namco Legacy cabinet, the Pacmania version of that Namco Legacy cabinet. And before we get into all the ways that this could be the greatest Namco / Pac-Man cabinet ever produced by Arcade1up, if you could do me a big favor, smash that like button and consider clicking the subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. Now let's get into the details, get into the weeds. Is this better? Is it possible to improve on one of the 587,000 different variations of Pac-Man that Arcade1up has produced within the last few years? And the big question is going to be, especially with this generation, how is that monitor? Is it MK30th bad, or were they able to overcome that? Let's get into all that right now. So let's start off the review like we always do by taking a look at the box that this cabinet comes in. Now mine is a little bit worse for wear because regardless of what FedEx and UPS would have you to believe, they don't always handle your packages with care. But despite their best efforts, the superior packaging inside this box from Arcade1up provided a damage-free cabinet for me to review. Thanks, guys. Now, my assembly process always begins with the riser, and anytime I have a metal fastener going into a wood panel, I like to use a little bit of wood glue. This is not required by Arcade1up, but it's recommended by 19K Fox. And continuing with the Big Blue tradition, this cabinet also comes with side panel extensions accompanied with steel reinforcement brackets. And I also highly recommend using a little bit of blue Loctite for every metal fastener that threads into a metal insert, specifically the fasteners that hold those side panels to the rest of the cabinet. Now, with the exception of that notch in the rear of the side panel, the overall shape and style really is not a big departure from what we've seen from Arcade1up. Now, ever since the introduction of the first Legacy cabinets, I've always been a little bit worried when I see the control panel sandwiched between the two side panels. But because this is a one-player game, space is really not going to be an issue, and the fitment is snug, but not too tight. Now, when I install the 4 bolts that secure the control panel to the rest of the cabinet, I like to use these little plastic washers as a way to protect the deck protector and not crack it. Don't ask me how I know. Just trust me on this one. The link for those will be in the description below. So with all the film removed, it's time to go ahead and push the spring-loaded on-off button, power this thing up, and see what we got. Well, that was incredibly anticlimactic. It's kind of odd that there was no special Pac-Man Arcade1up startup screen, and that glare on the left-hand side tells you that this is the same god-awful TN monitor we saw on their latest Mortal Kombat cabinet. Now, the upper and lower viewing angles aren't that bad, and because this is a one-player cabinet, I'd say it's playable. The washed-out third-generation Marquee makes a reappearance, and it's a shame that this wasn't something that was carried over from that Mortal Kombat cabinet. Now, when comparing the height of this new Namco Legacy cabinet, you're going to see that it is on par with the Mortal Kombat 30th, but substantially taller than any third-generation cabinet you may have in your collection. And it is good to see that volume, for the most part, is not going to be a problem with this cabinet. Okay, so let's talk about something that I would consider to be a step backward, and that's the function of the live button. No longer does it serve as a home button that takes you back to the main menu when you're in a game. That is now accomplished by holding down the one-player button for 5 seconds. That's something we really haven't seen since the third generation. The live button on this cabinet really just functions as a single-purpose button that opens up your internet settings. So when you contrast that with the way that the button's being used on MK30th and Big Blue, it makes sense that that button is there. But the way they're using it on this new Namco cabinet, I think a virtual button would have made more sense. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at all 14 included games and all the different things that are available in the settings of each game, like scan lines and difficulty settings. Now, no one's going to deny that these games are true arcade classics, but Arcade1up is doing them no favors by forcing you to play them with this washed out monitor, and the inclusion of Rolling Thunder, while a great game, doesn't feel right on a vertical screen. So needless to say, it's going to be difficult for me to recommend this Namco Legacy cabinet, especially if you have the first version in your collection. Washed out marquees and TN monitors aren't the biggest selling points. But let's say you went out and you bought this and you wanted to fix, well, at least one of these issues. I may have a solution for you, but it's going to have to wait for the next video. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by and checking out the channel. Y'all have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.